Story 1. Looking forward to tomorrow's coffee and whatever random thing will make me laugh that day. Small things keep me going. Story 2. Someone has to take care of my cats. Plus, the little one seems to like me. He runs from everyone else and sits on my chest, needing me. Story 3. Sole caregiver for my wife who was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease in 2017. She is still doing pretty well. Story 4. Even though I have made arrangements for where my dog will go upon my passing, I love him. I want to spend time with him. Story 5. Death is a one-way door, and I do not want to accidentally forget my cigarettes or my phone before going through it. Story 6. The chances we exist at all are so mind-boggling that I feel an obligation to ride it out. Like someone or something went through a lot of trouble to get the universe built and dialed in. It seems rude not to try and experience what I can. Story 7. The hope is that it gets better, everything settles, and I find an entry into information technology, so I can work remotely since I am sick and have my dog. Currently, I am really struggling to make it from one day to another. I have to start a new education with 32 because I cannot work in my old job anymore due to my sickness. However, I keep having faith that I will somehow make it. Story 8. My reason is to answer this question, which will be reposted tomorrow and repeatedly thereafter. Story 9. My goals. I want to be debt-free. I want to have a nicely decorated room and patio. I want to own a personal computer. I want to work in the industry I was trained for. I want to spend time with my friends. I want to have children. I want to own a home. These are what keep me motivated. There may be better reasons, but currently these keep the fire burning. As soon as I am debt-free, I will breathe the biggest breath of free air, buy my friends around, and finally start saving for my personal computer. Story 10. My cat. She is my everything. I was feeling suicidal recently. I put my headphones in and went for a walk. I walked up to the nearest bridge, planned it all out, and stared over the bridge for a while. All I could think about was my cat lying at home waiting for me to come back, with no one to look after her and not being able to cuddle up to her again. I cried at the bridge for a minute, put my headphones back in, and walked home. I gave her treats and a kiss. She is the reason I am still alive. Story 11. Because I have learned to find enjoyment in my work, my hobbies, my family, my friends, and the ordinary experiences in my life. Story 12. There is no coming back from not living. When you live, even if you do not care about anyone or do not have anyone to care about you, you can move away, start fresh, and be whoever you want to be. This mindset works unless you are depressed. Story 13. Music. I am now a musician and can sing and play guitar, drums, bass, and more. This is practically written into my genetic code. I have improved my vocals significantly, and music is an amazing way to fight off my mental struggles with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, anxiety, and depression. I can sing a lot of Lane Staley's, Alice in Chains, songs, Aaron Lewis from Stained, Matt Shadows, and Adam Gontier of 3 Days Grace and Saint Asonia. I can do some of Chester Bennington's, Linkin Park vocals, but he is in a class of his own. I have so much respect for his music. I can perform really well. I am just starting my career, and people are following me a lot, which can be strange sometimes and cause issues. It takes about 6 to 8 years to get decent, so if you plan to pick up singing, know that it's a long journey but always possible. Anyone can learn to sing. You just have to do what Kurt Cobain said. Go into a garage and suck for a good while, then one day you will improve and probably be better than you thought possible. Growing up in a bad environment, these people were my idols because they put so much heart and soul into music. What is even more amazing is that they were normal people who went through a lot and used music to make it out alive. There are things I shouldn't have survived, but I was blessed and planned to make music to help those who feel like I did. Completely empty and devoid of any self-worth or happiness. I still have bad days and good days, but music is always there to catch me when I feel the avalanche of life's problems coming down on me. One of my favorite songs to explain this is either White Balloons by the Sick Puppies or, even better, Drown by Bring Me the Horizon. Without music, I would perish in the depths of Tartarus or start a choir group that meets on the Sabbath. There is always a reason to live. You just have to find it. I hope whoever reads this knows you are not alone. If you read this, know you are not alone. Story 14. Well, for a while it was Mom would be sad. But now that she has passed, that would be disrespectful to Mom. Story 15. My wife, my children, my friends, my family. I want to watch my children grow up and grow old. I want to be there when they achieve significant milestones in their lives. I want to grow old with my wife. To answer your question, my number one reason to live is that I have been fortunate enough to build a garden of people around me, and I want to watch those flowers bloom. Story 16. Because I worked very hard to get this house at the beach, and I am not leaving. I even intend to haunt it. Story 17. I do not know. I am still finding out what keeps me going. I guess the hope that tomorrow will be better than today keeps me going. Story 18. My dog, nobody else would miss me if I were gone. Just another old man trying not to be a burden in someone else's day. Story 19. An unknowingly infinite amount of time has passed in the universe, which we believe to be 13.8 billion years. That is how long it took the natural order of nature to construct not only intelligent life that is aware of its being but also me. It made me, and I can feel and observe things and pet my cat as it purrs, which makes my heart feel warm. To think there is a microscopic ecosystem living on me as well, and for only up to 100 years will I get to exist and be aware of just a fraction of what makes up the universe before nothing does ever again. Never will I have another thought or be aware, or will anything exist again, as nothing will be. Nothing. That is why I choose to live. Life is this most mysteriously magical thing nature has ever done in an infinite amount of time thus far. Oh, how beautiful it is to enjoy watching a warm sunset and nice puffy clouds, to taste an amazing home-cooked salmon, to get a belly laugh from a really funny video. It is all beautiful. It is sad we only have so little time in the grand universe. Best to get as much out of it as possible. Story 20. I apparently do not have the right to die unless I make it horrible and painful for myself. Assisted death in the United States is something I wish were available. Whenever someone tries to die, they are labeled as mentally ill, and suddenly they are no longer allowed to have control over themselves if they do not succeed. Story 21. Intentionally dying relatively painlessly without risking becoming disabled or severely injuring yourself is actually quite difficult. I have tried unsuccessfully. Story 22. Against the odds, God has kept me alive this long, and I am starting to think He is onto something. I will be damned if I do not see it through. Story 23. Crazy, as I literally just attempted 2 weeks ago. I did not see it then, but I do see it now. I do not want the people who traumatized me to win. I will not let them take what I have so desperately fought for all my life. To be around people who actually love me and want the best for me. To not put my safety or my happiness at risk. It is all I have ever wanted and truly need. I am grateful I failed. Story 24. Diagnosed with major depressive disorder, I came close to ending my life on more than one occasion. But now I have my cats, and I will not let them go. Even if my life is difficult, I still make sure they have a clean litter box and plenty of food and toys to play with. They keep me going. Story 25. My children. I swear I live and breathe for them. They are both so cool and fun. The light of my life. I cannot even explain. You would have to know them. I am so lucky. Story 26. My 3 beautiful pets look at me like I am their whole world. I just couldn't do it with the thought of leaving them behind. Story 27. Connection. I want to find someone who accepts me exactly for who I am, and I accept them as well. I want to be their number one, and for them to think the same about me, whether it is friendship or romantic. Story 28. I have to. The choice is not mine to make. Death in this life is birth in another. Why would I choose to start over? Story 29. Because I was raised Catholic but have not been active since I was 18. I am now 68 and hell scares me sometimes. It is hard to get rid of that fear. I think there is a 99.99999% chance that hell does not exist. It is like a fairy tale. However, there is still a 0.0000099% chance that hell exists. My number one reason for living is my fear of eternal nothingness. My number two reason is my fear of eternal suffering. Those raised Catholic understand what I mean. That fear is locked in some area of my brain and will be there until I die. Story 30. I have to outlast Donald Trump. Then maybe the truth of how Agent Orange was secretly developed in my country will be allowed to be told. Story 31. I have a strange but persistent feeling that I am not just going to die, but will be transported into another world. No kidding. Before that, I want to learn as much useful information as possible, to know everything that can be helpful there. What if that world turns out to be wild, magical, or, on the contrary, post-apocalyptic? So now I am gathering knowledge to avoid being helpless there, kind of preparing myself before entering a new game. Story 32. Season 2 of Blue Eye Samurai is coming in 2026, which is about 3 years from now. Story 33. My late mother, who passed away at the age of 49 in 2004, and all of my late pets, including 2 dogs and 2 cats, would want me to keep going because it is not my time yet. My 2 cats would especially still be cuddling me. Story 34. I enjoy my life and I believe I do some good in the world. Also, if God did not want me to be here, He would remove me. Story 35. I made a promise to myself never to take the easy way out of life. I still think about it every day, but I am not going to do it. People have it worse than me, yet they are still alive, so I can still make it. Story 36. I love life. Although it can be difficult sometimes, there is much more good than bad. I am trying to make the most of it while I have it. Story 37. My cat is the only reason I am here. After my second parent died, I am now alone. No siblings, no family. Just me and my cat. He needs me as much as I need him. Story 38. I am torn between finding a heroin dealer so I can start using again and eventually overdose, or continuing my advancement at a promising job that I actually enjoy and that contributes to society. I cannot figure out why I cannot just be happy with that. Story 39. Death is painful. I have heard many horror stories about failed suicide attempts. They made me afraid of every method except overdose, which did not work. A few days ago, I tried to hang myself, but the panic was overwhelming, and I backed out at the last moment of consciousness. Story 40. I already tried to end it once. The only reason I am still willing to live is because of my best friend. I honestly have nothing else to live for. Story 41. After a high-speed police chase in a parking lot involved my wife and me, I am now her guardian. We have been married for 35 years, but we are at our wits' end. Story 42. My mom. I would never want to die before her. I have never known someone who has tried so hard to make sure I have everything. I have no idea what I will do when her time comes. And my partner. I have never known this level of romantic love that was so authentic. I am so scared to lose either of them because that means I would need to find another reason to live. And in my 30 years, this was all I found. Story 43. My dog. It would break his heart if I were not here anymore, and there would be no way to explain to him that I did not leave him behind on purpose. That breaks my heart. So I make sure I stay here for him. Story 44. I have a dream of reading silently in my 70s with my girlfriend, whom I assume will be my wife then, and watching the sunset on her face in a house where we have built a life together over decades. Otherwise, I would be like, hell yeah, kill me, idiot. Story 45. I once made a promise. Some days it is a hard promise to keep. Some days I do not remember why I made the promise. Some days the person I promised does not seem to care, nor do I. But I made a promise, and that is reason enough. Story 46. My family. I am not married and have no children, but I have an amazing pair of parents, a wonderful sister and brother, an amazing niece who is my goddaughter, and a nephew. I am very close with my cousins on my mother's side of the family. We all grew up in the same town, are about the same age, and attended the same schools, so we are very close. When I feel down or unmotivated and try to count my blessings, these are my go-to thoughts. I am very fortunate to have such an amazing family. Story 47. I have considered suicide on various occasions, but it is too entertaining seeing how unintelligent people can be. In recent memory, we have the Stanley Cup craze and the Labubu craze. Did nobody learn from the Black Friday debacle or Beanie Babies nonsense? Imagine being so wrapped up in consumerism that you waste hours to days waiting for the new shiny thing. Let it burn. I will mind my business until it is time to go. Story 48. I want to see where life takes my niece. I want to see all the cool new games throughout my life. I also want to see all the new Magic, the Gathering cards that come out throughout my life. Oh, and I want to play Dungeons and Dragons more and more. Story 49. If I die, my parents would feel terrible. I do not have a job currently, but I am looking for one. I do not want to make them feel worse. Story 50. For a long time, my grandmother, I did not want to leave her alone at her age in this world. Since her passing, I have been clinging to different things, but right now it is unironically the new Tomodachi life coming up. I am not leaving until I see that. What also keeps me alive is the fact that once I die, everyone will be traumatized and my room will never be touched again. My room will always stay as it is now. My bed will never be made again. My jacket will always hang over the chair, and time will completely freeze in my room, keeping everything that made me inside. I will never have another hug or another kiss. No one is going to play my CD collection, and my room and I will slowly be forgotten and become irrelevant as decades go by. I will have passed for no good reason and have hurt everyone who loves me while doing so. Life can be hard, but it is worth it for the people you have because you only have them once. You wake up every day with new chances and choices. Sometimes the way out is through the middle. Story 51. Family, especially as my 11-month-old grandson's first real word was granddad. That is plenty of reason to live in itself. Story 52. My children are grown, but they would be really sad if I died. Additionally, we would miss out on a few more laughs. Story 53. I want to experience the kind of love I have always given to others, the one kind for which I have yearned for years and am still yearning. If it is there for a small moment, I want to feel it. After that, if anything happens, it happens. I want to receive for once the phenomenon I have always been on the giving end of. Story 54. I feel the best when seeing a unique animal in my area. I guess that I have already almost died from a stroke. Let's see what happens. I hope that at some point humanity goes the other way, returning to love, decency, and honesty, even if I do not always follow the rules. Story 55. My family, specifically my sister and pets, need me to be there to take care of them. I do not know what they would do without me, and I never want them to have to find out. Story 56. I would not mind leaving the earth now, but then there are all those other people who would be left if I really did die. Then again, nobody knows what is just beyond the corner. Story 57. I want to see what is next. I think everyone has a right to go, but it is sad to see that when you become the next big thing in your community or circle. I am not done with what I am trying to accomplish here. Story 58. My robotics work in my spare time to help get out of poverty and defy those who kept me there. I plan to build a factory in my home state of New Jersey that can make duplicates of celebrities, historical figures, or even people one may know. Custom orders would cost extra, but that is expected. Story 59. It is hard to choose one. The most important reason to live for me is love. Feeling loved, giving love, showing love, and spreading more love than hate. That includes friends, parents, children, grandparents, extended family and in-laws, spouses, pets, and everything in between. I believe love can change the world. Story 60. Because I am afraid of pain or the possibility of living paralyzed, which could make life even worse than it already is. Story 61. The small things. Yes, the big things are nice, but noticing the things around me. The flowers blooming in my garden, the wind on my face, and when a good song comes on my playlist. Being able to take time for myself during my day. Story 62. My young ones have systematically broken so much of my belongings over the years. I have kept a log and still do for the young boy. I live in hope of the day when I will need care at their homes because of my inability to care for myself. At this point, I fully intend to reciprocate. They let loose with molten stackable bricks, shatter glasses, spill purple drinks, and flood rooms with no apparent cause. The reasons are unknown, yet they provide justification to satisfy history. Story 63. Honestly, besides the obvious reasons such as children, dogs, and daily blessings, I cannot wait for the day Make America Great Again inevitably collapses. I look forward to ridiculing and shaming every last one of my friends who supported it. I am very stubborn, but let me have this. Story 64. I found God when I was 16, and He saved me at the lowest point of my life. It's still really hard at times, but His faithfulness and the good things that have happened in the last 5 years have made it worth it. I also have my beloved dog, Phoebe. She is living proof of God's love. She came to me when I needed her the most, and she is truly an angel. Even when I feel disconnected from my faith, I see Phoebe and keep pushing. Story 65. What happens after I die will certainly be answered someday. That much is assured. But there are things to learn here that I have to work toward, so I will do that first. This mindset started in a particularly challenging part of my life, and I am somewhat relieved to say that I am still finding new questions to ask this world pretty much daily. Story 66. Fulfill my duties on this earth by helping the less fortunate and repaying the debts I owed in my previous life, so my children will not have to inherit them. Story 67. My dogs. I have 3, and it is very clear that I am their favorite, so I know they would be very sad without me. Story 68. My dogs. I love them, and I do not believe my partner is capable of taking care of them properly when I am gone. I know my partner is perfectly able to move on. They are smart, they are likable, and they can manage. However, they are awful when it comes to giving the dogs the attention and effort they deserve. My pups are my world. So while they are here, so am I. Story 69. Despite being there for people I care about or who need help, I hold on to the very small chance that I will achieve my dreams. Story 70. My mental commitments to other people. It makes me tremendously sad to think about dying before them and them having to deal with the grief of discovery and loss. When I die, I hope I know and can hear it coming from miles away so I can say my goodbyes and go wander off somewhere away from them to die like a wild animal in the woods. Story 71. For my children, I need to annoy them every day and often so they can grow up to have a great sense of humor. This way, they can also annoy their children. Story 72. For the longest time, it was the fact that I could not put my siblings through that. They already have to navigate and recover from an abusive mother and an addicted father. I cannot add a sibling who died by suicide to the mix. That would be too cruel. Story 73. My kids. Sometimes I think they might be better off without me. My 2-year-old and 4-year-old would probably forget about me in a few years, but my 9-year-old would remember. Also, because the court system is flawed, if I die, my sweet 9-year-old would be taken away from my fiancée and her siblings and forced to live with her abusive biological father. So, really, the main reason is to prevent that from happening. I cannot do that to her. Story 74. I have a child who is almost an adult now, and I see them twice a week. If I didn't have a child, I would say I am too invested in observing how absolutely difficult this timeline has become. I am an observer and try very hard not to participate in the world, as I do not want to affect the outcome. I would really like to see which happens first: the birth of our artificial intelligence overlord, aliens landing on Earth, or the rapture. It is too interesting to consider ending my life. Story 75. I am going to die eventually no matter what. I might as well have as many experiences as I can while I still can. Story 76. Adventure. Experiencing new things, meeting new people, and going to new places. Revisiting the same places repeatedly to relive the experience while also having the chance to discover something new. Story 77. No reason, because you die anyway. What is the point? You are basically slowly dying, so it is better to end the suffering. This is not about suicide. Story 78. My pets are the only reason. I have rats. If I were gone, someone would either kill them or set them free. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.